Many people believe retirement is a time of tranquility. After so many years of work, waking up without an alarm, without pressure, and without demands finally seems like a well-deserved reward. And indeed, there's real relief when retirement arrives. The problem is that this relief often deceives, especially for those who spent their entire lives as salaried employees. Gradually, without making noise, retirement begins to lose value, and many people only realize it when money no longer goes as far as before. Maybe you've already felt this. The retirement amount even increases from time to time. An adjustment appears, and the initial feeling is that everything is fine. But in practice, when you go to the supermarket, pharmacy, or pay the month's bills, it seems money disappears faster. It's not an impression, not an exaggeration, and not a lack of personal control. This is a clear explanation, and today I want to talk to you exactly about this. Retirement doesn't lose value because someone did something wrong individually. It loses value because the cost of living increases faster than the money coming in. This is the central point that almost nobody explains simply. Inflation doesn't appear blatantly every day, but it's present in every small purchase. A dollar that bought a lot a few years ago today buys much less. And when monthly income doesn't keep up with this difference, the retiree feels a direct impact. For those who were salaried employees their whole life, this impact tends to be even greater. During the active phase, the worker does feel inflation, but often manages to compensate with overtime, salary increases, job changes, or some extra income. In retirement, that practically disappears. The monthly amount becomes fixed while expenses continue changing, and what seemed sufficient before begins to tighten. It's important to understand that retirement isn't an isolated problem. It's part of a larger system, and that system wasn't designed to guarantee growing comfort over time. It was designed to guarantee a minimum. When someone retires believing everything will automatically stay the same, they end up being surprised. The mistake isn't in retiring, but in believing retirement adjusts itself to reality. Inflation is treacherous precisely because it doesn't arrive all at once. It gradually erodes purchasing power. A small increase here, another there, a more expensive medication. Food that goes up without warning. When you realize it, what was once routine begins to require choices. Buying less, postponing decisions, cutting small comforts. And this directly affects the sense of tranquility retirement should bring. Many retirees say money doesn't disappear suddenly. It drains away. And that's a perfect description. There's no big initial shock. There's a sequence of small force adjustments. The problem is that when retirees don't understand what's happening, they tend to blame themselves. They think they're spending too much, that they've lost control, or that they did something wrong. In reality, many times, they're just living in a scenario where the cost of living moves faster than income. Another important point is that not everyone feels this impact the same way. Those with retirement closer to minimum wage usually feel it first. But even those who receive a bit more notice the difference over time. The sense of security decreases, and fear of not being able to cope in the future begins to appear. This generates anxiety, insecurity, and in some cases, hasty decisions. The big problem is that nobody prepares workers for this phase. For decades, the conversation revolves around retiring, reaching the benefit, completing the time. Little is said about what comes after. Little is explained that retirement requires constant attention. It doesn't work on autopilot. It needs to be monitored, understood, and adjusted whenever possible. This is where many make a silent mistake. When retiring, people completely relax. They stop tracking expenses, stop observing increases, ignore small imbalances. This relaxation is understandable but dangerous, because when retirees realize money isn't keeping up with the cost of living, often the problem is already established. Another factor that weighs heavily is health. As years pass, expenses on medications, appointments, and care increase. Even those who were always healthy begin to notice new expenses. And these expenses almost never grow at the same pace as retirement adjustments. The result is a gradual squeeze that seems inevitable, but can be better managed when clearly understood. It's very important to say this isn't a fear speech. It's a consciousness speech. Understanding that retirement loses value over time doesn't mean desperation. It means preparation. It means stopping believing everything is guaranteed and starting to look at reality with more attention and responsibility. When retirees understand the problem isn't personal, they begin to act more rationally. They start observing their expenses, planning the month better, avoiding impulsive decisions. Small actions make a difference when taken early. The problem is waiting too long to act. Many people only wake up when the squeeze hits hard, when bills start piling up, or when they need to ask for help. At that moment, options tend to be more limited. That's why the sooner retirees understand how inflation affects their income, the better. It's important to emphasize that adjustment doesn't mean real gain. If the amount goes up but prices go up more, purchasing power falls. This is a simple but fundamental point. Looking only at the number entering the account isn't enough. You need to look at what that number can buy. Retirees who understand this start making more conscious decisions. They don't fall for easy promises, don't believe in miraculous solutions, and don't get carried away by speeches promising quick returns. They understand security comes from constant attention, not magic formulas. Retirement can indeed be a phase of tranquility, but not of carelessness. It requires a different type of responsibility. It's no longer the responsibility of daily work, but responsibility for your own financial and emotional balance. Ignoring this is what makes retirement seem unfair and frustrating for so many people. Salaried workers feel this difference more intensely because they spent their lives trusting a system that promised stability. When reality shows that stability is relative, the shock is much greater than it should be. That's exactly why talking about this subject is so important and necessary. Not to criticize the system or complain endlessly, but to clarify what's really happened behind the scenes. If you're already retired or getting close to retirement age, the best thing you can possibly do right now is stop believing that everything will simply resolve itself on its own. That mindset is dangerous and costly. You need to observe your finances carefully, monitor where your money is actually going every single month, and adjust your spending habits and expectations accordingly. Real tranquility doesn't come from living in illusion or pretending problems don't exist. It comes from genuine understanding of your situation and taking proactive steps to protect yourself. Retirement isn't some automatic ticket to happiness or financial security. Far from it. But it absolutely can become a safer, more stable, and peaceful phase of your life when you face it with full awareness and preparation. The people who understand this principle early in their retirement journey tend to suffer far less financial stress and anxiety later on down the road. They make smarter decisions, they adapt faster, and they protect their quality of life. On the other hand, those who choose to ignore these warnings and live in denial, unfortunately, end up learning these harsh lessons the hard way. They discover too late that their money doesn't stretch as far as they thought it would. They realize only after the damage is done that small decisions compound over time. And by then, reversing course and fixing the problems becomes significantly harder, sometimes even impossible. Don't let that be your story. Take control now while you still can.